Today, we're taking you on an exceptional journey, one only for the bravest, as we explore islands so dangerous that governments have banned public entry. Places where simply venturing out could put your life in extreme risk. In this video, we will progressively uncover these forbidden territories, starting with islands that might be tolerable for human life and eventually arriving at one where stepping foot on it could mean risking your life. Number 5. In the 5th spot on our list, we find ourselves on a place where the past seems to have frozen in time, leaving behind a trace of suffering and death. This is Poveglia, a small island in the Venetian lagoon that, despite its external beauty, hides one of the darkest chapters of Italian history. During the peak of the Black Death in the 14th century, Poveglia became a sinister quarantine refuge. Thousands of people, many still alive, were exiled to this island to die far from the rest of society. According to records, more than 160,000 souls perished here, and the island's soil, soaked in human ash, remains a witness to its tragic past. But the horror didn't end there. In the 19th century, Poveglia was repurposed as a maritime quarantine station, and in the 1920s, it became home to a psychiatric hospital. There, patients endured inhumane experiments and lived in terrifying conditions. Legends say that the director of the hospital, tormented by the spirits of his victims, threw himself from the bell tower. But even his death didn't bring peace to the souls that still haunt the island. Today, Poveglia remains abandoned, overtaken by nature, but still intact in its terrifying essence. Even the most curious dare not visit, and all attempts to restore it have failed. In 2014, the Italian government attempted to auction it off, but rumors of curses and paranormal phenomena scared off potential buyers. Among its ruins, tales of screams, whispers, and ghostly bells continue to terrorize those who come near. Even the boldest explorers describe the island's atmosphere as suffocating and overwhelming, a reminder that Poveglia hasn't forgotten its dark past. This is the island no one dares to inhabit, where the scars of human suffering are still felt in the air. This is number 5, Poveglia, the Forbidden Island. Number 4. We leave behind the darkness and legends of Poveglia, a place marked by death and human suffering. But on our list of the most dangerous islands, danger doesn't always come from grim stories or ghosts from the past. Number 4 takes us to one of the most remote and inhospitable corners of the planet, where nature enforces its own rules and survival seems impossible. Get ready to discover Heard and McDonald Islands, a frozen wasteland where isolation, extreme cold, and the fury of the ocean conspire to keep all intruders away. Located more than 4,000 kilometers south of Australia, Heard and McDonald Islands are some of the most remote and unexplored places on Earth. This archipelago, lost in the vast Antarctic Ocean, is shrouded in relentless cold and surrounded by the infamous Furious 50 winds, so violent that navigation in the region is practically impossible. Discovered in the mid-19th century, these islands were initially mistaken for icebergs due to their desolate landscape. With temperatures that rarely rise above freezing and an active volcanic nature, they stand as an example of the extremes nature can reach. Despite their hostile climate, Heard and McDonald Islands harbor surprising biodiversity. Endemic species such as the Adelie penguin, seals, and seabirds survive here in an untouched and protected ecosystem. This isolation, however, also makes them fragile. For this reason, the islands have been a UNESCO World Heritage Site since 1988 and are strictly protected by international laws. The archipelago is a focus for scientific research, especially to study the effects of climate change on isolated ecosystems. Active volcanoes, such as Mount Mawson on Heard Island, add another level of mystery and danger to this corner of the world. But don't think this remote frozen paradise is accessible. Heard and McDonald Islands are completely closed to tourism. Only a few scientists under strict permits and regulations are allowed to explore this territory. Even the sea conditions and unpredictable weather make any attempt to approach them extremely difficult. We've explored the frozen and remote Heard and McDonald Islands, a place where the cold and isolation make survival an almost impossible challenge. But the danger we're about to face isn't in the extreme temperatures or wild nature. Number 3 takes us to a tropical island where the real danger lurks beneath your feet, in every shadow and with every movement. An island where human life has no place, and every step could be your last. Number 3. Just 30 kilometers off the coast of São Paulo, Brazil, lies Ilha da Queimada Grande, more commonly known as Snake Island. At first glance, it appears to be a tropical paradise, surrounded by turquoise waters and dense vegetation. But don't be deceived. This place is a real death trap. The island is home to one of the world's most poisonous creatures, the Bothrops insularis, or golden lancehead viper. These snakes, unique to this location, are so deadly that their venom can cause death in less than 2 hours. Experts say there could be as many as 1 snake per square meter on the island. It's as if the ground itself is alive, covered by a cloak of lethal fangs. Over 11,000 years ago, when sea levels rose, this small piece of land became isolated from the mainland. Without natural predators, the snakes evolved to become highly efficient hunters. Their venom is up to 5 times more potent than that of their mainland relatives, designed to hunt migratory birds with deadly precision. The island is not only dangerous, but also wrapped in legends. It's said that pirates left these snakes behind to protect a hidden treasure, and that a family perished in the 1920s when a horde of vipers invaded their home during the night. Today, access is strictly prohibited by the Brazilian government. Only a few scientists with special permits and under strict safety measures have been allowed to study the island. Though lethal, the venom of these snakes is also a biomedical treasure. It has been used in treatments for blood pressure and is being studied for neurological diseases and certain types of cancer. Snake Island is a reminder that nature can be both deadly and fascinating. But for any unsuspecting visitors, this tropical paradise is, in reality, a hell on earth. Until now, we've covered places where danger lurks in various forms, from the extreme cold and deadly isolation of Heard and McDonald Islands to the shadowy enigma of Poveglia and the lethal terrain of Snake Island, covered by venomous snakes. But the next location takes us to a place where the danger doesn't come from nature or grim legends, but from human hands that protect an ancient tradition. Number 2. Located in the heart of the Indian Ocean, within the remote Andaman Islands archipelago, lies the second spot on our list, North Sentinel Island. At first glance, it appears to be a tropical paradise, with turquoise waters and dense jungle. But this island, far from being a dream destination, is one of the most inaccessible and dangerous places on Earth. The reason is not just its geography, which is protected by dangerous coral reefs and strong ocean currents, but its inhabitants, the Sentinelese. A tribe that has lived in complete isolation for more than 60,000 years and fiercely defends its territory from any intruders. The Sentinelese, considered one of the oldest cultures untouched by modern civilization, have made it clear that they wish to remain disconnected from the outside world. Over the years, every attempt at contact has ended in tragedy. From fishermen who ventured too close and paid with their lives to the most recent case in 2018, when missionary John Allen Chow was struck down by arrows as he tried to approach. But their hostility is not without reason. Isolation has left this tribe vulnerable to common diseases, which could be devastating for them. Even a simple cold could wipe out their entire population. North Sentinel Island is protected by the Indian government, which has made any attempt to approach it illegal. Despite being officially part of India, many consider this territory to function as a sovereign nation, where the Sentinelese have established their own rules and resisted the encroachment of the modern world. Their resilience was demonstrated after the devastating 2004 tsunami. While authorities feared the worst, the Sentinelese not only survived, but made it clear they were alive and determined to protect their isolation by shooting arrows at helicopters that attempted to fly over the island to assess the damage. This tiny landmass, just 60 square kilometers, remains both a cultural and natural mystery. Its dense jungle and untouched reefs serve as a natural laboratory that scientists can only observe from a distance. North Sentinel Island is a reminder that even in the 21st century, there are corners of the world where modernity has no place. Here, past and present merge in a land protected by a community that has resisted time and external threats with unyielding determination. Number 1. Until now, we have explored islands where nature and isolation have kept intruders away. From the fierce resistance of the Sentinelese on North Sentinel Island to the lethal dangers of wildlife, climate, and history on the previous islands, but none compare to what you're about to discover. Our number 1 spot takes us to a place where science and war intertwined, turning a small island into a deadly laboratory. At number 1 is Gruinard, the island of death. Off the Scottish coast, isolated and shrouded in an eerie atmosphere, lies Gruinard, an island whose name is forever marked as a symbol of devastation and danger. What appears to be just another fragment of the Scottish landscape hides a history as dark as it is shocking. During World War II, in 1942, the United Kingdom desperately sought an edge against Nazi Germany. In this context, a group of scientists led by Paul Fields turned Gruinard into a testing ground for one of the deadliest biological weapons ever conceived: anthrax. Under the codename Operation Vegetarian, the goal was to contaminate German food supplies with anthrax spores to cause massive devastation. Though the plan was never executed, the experiments conducted on the island demonstrated anthrax's terrifying potential. In Gruinard, scientists detonated controlled anthrax explosions over strategically tied sheep. The results were as effective as they were horrifying. The spores, capable of remaining active for decades, turned the island's soil into a death trap for any form of life. When the experiments ended, Gruinard was left more contaminated than anyone had anticipated. The British government placed the island under indefinite quarantine, posting warning signs that alerted people to the deadly danger lurking there. For nearly 50 years, this small patch of land was known as the Island of Death. But the story didn't end there. In 1981, an activist group called the Dark Harvest Commandos demanded action from the government. Their protest led to a decontamination effort that began in 1986 and lasted until 1990. Scientists worked for years, using formaldehyde and removing tons of infected soil before finally declaring the island safe. However, the shadow of its past remains. Although Gruinard is no longer lethal, its legacy is a chilling reminder of the horrors of biological warfare and the extremes humanity is willing to reach in the name of science and military strategy, just like the most horrifying military experiments in history, as shown in this video.